place, Alvas College of Physical Education, 196 points, permanent trophy plus rupees 6,000 cash award. Alvas College of Physical Education, 196 points, permanent trophy plus rupees 6,000 cash award. Second place, Sri Dharmasthala College, STM College Ujire, total points 246, permanent trophy plus rupees 10,000 cash award. Permanent trophy plus 10,000 cash award. Second place, STM College Ujire. First place goes to Alvas College Modabidri, 279 points in women's section, permanent trophy plus rupees 15,000 cash award. First place, Alvas College Modabidri. In women's section, first place goes to Alvas College Modabidri, 279 points, permanent trophy plus rupees 15,000 cash award. Last prize, overall championship. Third place goes to 2017-18. Alvas College of Physical Education Modabidri. Overall championship, Alvas College of Physical Education Modabidri, 333 points with permanent trophy. Alvas College Modabidri. Alvas College of Physical Education Modabidri. Overall championship. ಬೇಗ ಬರಬೇಕು. College of Physical Education Modabidri, total points 333, permanent trophy. Second place overall championship for the year 2017-18, STM College Ujire, total points 430, permanent trophy. Overall championship runner-up
ಆತ್ಮೀಯರೇ, ಹಾಗೆ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಬೆಳಗಿನಿಂದ ನಿರೂಪಣೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಜಿ ಶಂಕರ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನ ದೈಹಿಕ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕರಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರೋಷನ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟಿ ಇವರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಕುಲಪತಿಯವರು ಮೊಮೆಂಟವನ್ನು ನೀಡಿ ಸನ್ಮಾನಿಸಬೇಕಾಗಿ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ.
ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಕೊನೆಯ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವಿದ್ದೇವಿದ್ದೀಗ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಸಮರ್ಪಣೆ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಜೆರಾಲ್ಡ್ ಸಂತೋಷ್ ಡಿಸೋಜಾ, ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಇವರಿಂದ ಇದೀಗ ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಸಮರ್ಪಣೆ.
Respected Registrar, Professor B.S. Nagendra Prakash, and all the guests, and enviable task for me to propose vote of thanks at this point of time, but I'll try to make it fast. Well, first of all, let me make it clear that this vote of thanks is not only for this program, but to all the programs and all the achievements that have been happened during the year. We have come to the culmination of our year's programs, and for this, not only for this year, but for the last 4 years, Professor K. Bhairappa, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, has been very instrumental in giving us the facilities, as well as motivating us, our department, the athletes, and for all of this, I think he is responsible in a large way, and for this, on behalf of the Department of Physical Education and on my personal behalf, I thank you, sir. Our beloved Registrar, Professor B.S. Nagendra Prakash, has been with us from the last 3-4 months, but in these 3-4 months, he has showed how much love he has towards sports and what a sportsman he is. And, well, I think this program wouldn't have been successful without his cooperation and without the way he spoke a few minutes before. And for this, on behalf of all of us, I thank you, sir, and I request Dr. Kishore Kumar C.K. to please present him a memento. I request Professor B.S. Nagendra Prakash to please come to the stage and receive a memento from Dr. C.K. Kishore Kumar. Thank you very much, sir. And of course, we have the great stalwarts of our nation, of our state, and of our district, Mr. Satish Rai and Mr. S.D. Ishan. We have grown up seeing their performances, and from all of us, you have come over here despite a busy schedule. And as Mr. Satish Rai, he is handling a lot of responsibility in his bank, and he said, only because of his love for us, for this university, he has come here to take part in this function. I thank both of you, sirs, and I'm sure your support is there for us throughout our throughout your career, our careers, everything. Throughout the life, I think your support is there. Thank you very much for being present here with us. And most importantly, I would like to thank all the sports persons who are gathered here. I don't think this program would have been successful without you. It is because of you this program is there. It's because of you the guests are here, and because of you we are standing over here and speaking. Congratulating you. I also thank you for giving your best for this university, for yourself, for your college. And once again, I thank you all for being present here and receiving our token of appreciation. Thank you once again, all of you. I thank the syndicate members and the academic council members who are present here and taken part in our joy. And also the physical directors, coaches, and parents who have been instrumental in bringing up the athletes, in motivating the athletes, and also they have played their part in getting the performances for the university. Thank you all. I thank Dr. Ramya Mohan and also all the artists who were there before here for felicitating the winners and bringing joy, bringing smiles to the winners' faces in their absence. And also Mrs. Ramya Mohan, I thank you. Professor Raman, I thank you. And the Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Manohar Prasad, Ms. Madhu, and Mr. Roshan, I thank you all for emceeing this program and making this program a wonderful one. Thank you all. The press, I thank them for covering this program. And I don't know, so many people have played their part in not only this function, throughout this year. I might have missed a few of them. Please excuse me, but our appreciation from our department, from my personal behalf, from my university is always there. Thank you all once again. She is by profession, she is a doctor. It is a medical profession, and she has specialized in psychiatry. And she, after finishing her MBBS in Bangalore Medical College in Bangalore, I think she did a FRC in England, London. And as per what I read, that is one of the most challenging courses in London, which very few persons do. Of course, that is a profession, but most importantly, I think all of us have already got introduced to her in the function there. All of us have heard how she has come
Personally speaking, I think if I had closed my eyes, I would have thought that that is a original soundtrack, because such was the voice, and I congratulate her on that. And as per my small discussion with her, she says she is busy going from London to Bangalore. Whenever she has got some assignments, that is medical assignments, she goes to London and Bangalore. She hops from London to Bangalore, and in between that, she visits a lot of places. Concerts. She gives a lot of performances, and she has also, if I am right, I think she has also found a new way of treating patients with, I think, cultural, with singing or with arts as with an instrument. You know, how to improve people, how to treat people with that. And with these few words, I welcome you, ma'am, for this small session. And before starting here, I had told her this might be a little bit of challenging session, because normally the last hour of a class no lecturer wants to take, because the students will be busy dozing. But I'm sure all of you have finished relaxing and all of you are woken up, and I think Mr. Prasanna will be also having a cup of tea to wake us up. Okay? Welcome you, ma'am. I'm sure all of you will enjoy your, and also will be enlightened by your expertise in psychological discourse here. So I welcome you once again, and I invite you to please.
As I go along. So first of all, I'd like to thank the university and all my esteemed organizers for inviting me over here today, and thank you all. Thank you so much for staying back. It's the end of the day, and yeah, I'm sure you've all had a long day. I'll try and be I might end up being quite a bit boring, so if I'm really boring, you can just raise your hand and I'll shut up. Okay, so when the organizers asked me to talk to you all about motivation within sport and motivation for youth, it got me thinking, because I thought, well, you know what, motivation, I mean, it's the balance, it's the basis on which everything stands. But I'd like to, from my thoughts, there was something that I just penned down that I'd like to share with all of you. When sport becomes an art, finesse and achievement sets in. When art becomes a sport, liveliness and enjoyment sets in. When science joins the team, optimization of potential sets in. And when maths joins the team, balance and proportionality set in. But when they all join forces, oh my goodness, the sky is the limit. And with that in mind, can we move on to the next slide, please? With that in mind, I started to think not just about youth, motivation, and sport, but really about it being a balance of life, really. As you will see in this balance, motivation, everyone needs motivation to do something. It's the first step, really. We really have to drag ourselves out and get out there. But what keeps it going is all these other factors that you see in the balance of life. There is sport, and it's being balanced with arts and the humanities and academics. But what helps them stay together and stay balanced in life is the mass, the proportionality of things. And right at the top you see science there. Science is the pivot. Science is the logic or the reasoning behind why we do the things we do. So with that kind of a knowledge, you can really do wonders within sport or anything else. And they all really have to come together, and they have to come together in a very balanced way for us to keep the motivation going. So with these words, I'd like to make a start with the talk today. We'll come back to the balance of life in a bit. Because the reality is not quite the balance that we've just seen. This is the reality, isn't it? I mean, we've got lots of plates spinning in the air all the time. And it's really, really, really hard to keep things going, to keep ourselves motivated, to make sure we don't miss out on one thing. So, to get back the balance, what do? Next slide, please. So it stands to, apologies about this, there was some corruption in the file, the PowerPoint presentation, so we're having to, thank you so much for having to go back and do this, so thank you very much. Well, it stands to reason really that curriculum inclusion is the first thing. We're all familiar with this. Of course, it has to be part of the curriculum. We do read about it. I mean, we know all this, don't we? We know about the benefits of sport and healthy lifestyle. We know that it's important to have diet management. We know the importance of maintaining physical health. We know the prevalence of and the increase in lifestyle diseases, diabetes, blood pressure, you name it all. Southeast Asians, we have the highest incidence of diabetes in the world. So we know all these things. The WHO data says, well, in the next 10 years, guess what? Cardiovascular conditions and mental health conditions like depression are going to be the biggest causes of mortality, deaths, and morbidity, being unwell over the next decade. We know all this data, and more recently we are getting to understand the importance and significance of mental health and emotional well-being. It is so important, but of course we haven't really quite paid attention to it the same way as we are doing now. But how do we translate all this information into practice? That's when we start to have a problem, because yes, we know all that, but can we go to the next slide? So what actually motivates young people to join or play a sport? A few positive things, a few negative things, as you will see there. Well, I'll start off with the positive things. The challenge of competition. Well, it may also be that others are doing it, so why can't I? Or others are doing it, so I should. And the desire and determination to succeed, which probably is the hallmark of any sports person. But then on the other side, the flip side, there's also other things that we, I think, often are not very aware of. That's ego, pride, and fear. And these can actually motivate young people to join a sport as well. But does it necessarily help them stay in sport? No. Next slide, please. And then when we think about what motivates young people to stay in sport, the feeling of achievement on learning a new skill, research says, and we know, there's no magic there, we know that that is this one biggest driver really, and acknowledgement from our peers, our friends, our family, that is wonderful as well, and that keeps things moving. Next slide, please. So, when we look at intrinsic factors, things that are within us, and extrinsic factors, which is things that are in our environment, you will be amazed that a staggering 75% of the factors are actually within us. It's all the joy about learning a new skill. It's the joy that one experiences when one is with friends. A very small proportion is really about winning trophies and awards and medals. Next slide, please. I just want to talk to you a bit about myself. I am from Bangalore, and my growing years were in Bangalore, old Bangalore, and I went to the UK fairly early, and I've been in the UK for about 20 years of my life. So I'm somebody who has had a working life in the West until recently. I just moved back about 1.5 years ago, back to Bangalore. So because I have had this unique perspective of growing up here and being part of the sports scene here, I know of course it's very different, as this morning's gathering showed me, very different to what it was when I was growing up. It did give me a unique perspective on what is different. In the West, sport is seen as a priority, we know that. Sport is actually part of the culture. It's part of the academic curriculum, in fact. It's not versus academia, it is, and it's part of academia. The facilities and the high-class infrastructure actually reflect that. And of course, the population we know in India is so big that of course, you know, the number of people, obviously that exponentially, the number of competitors increases as we don't see in the West. And of course, the societal and governmental support over a period of time, that plays a very big role as well. I was just chatting about this with a friend recently, and you know, I was in the UK when the Olympics happened. I was fortunate enough to actually be there for some of the events. I was there and actually watched it live. And it was so thrilling for me, even as a spectator, to be there. But I can only imagine the joy, the pride that a sports person feels when they're actually performing. So, but what struck me there actually was, this happened in London, and I was a Londoner, and not one day was the traveling affected, not one day was the infrastructure affected. Suddenly, out of nowhere, there were zillions and zillions of volunteers. Things progressed like clockwork, and it all happened as if it was just another event happening. And that really opened my eyes up. Next slide, please. Okay, so when we look at motivation, and it's not about me motivating anyone, so we come across all these things, right? These things actually help to a degree. All these little post-its that we keep for ourselves as reminders. But when it comes to the crunch, when it comes to us doing things on a day-to-day basis, when it comes to us pulling ourselves out and getting on with it, how do we do it? The next one, please, not this one, the one after. Thank you. Sorry about this jerky presentation. Right. So I understand that you're a gathering of sports instructors and sports people here today. I don't in any way feel, as I was growing up, I did do badminton and other things. I was very much involved in sport. And then I was an NCC cadet, as was Mrs. Kishore Kumar. And I went to the Republic Day celebrations, and that was about it really. After that, it's all been just about keeping myself fit, which is of course a very different thing to sport itself. But what I wanted to touch upon from my perspective as a mental health professional was, as a coach, as an instructor, or as a sports person, what are the different ways in which we could look at motivating other young people to join and stay in sport? So when you look about, the most important thing that comes to mind really, for me, is about identifying the unique strengths that every individual has. Each of us has our unique strength. It's about recognizing them, and these strengths might be anything from patience to team play to leadership. But it's about recognizing that. Recognize achievement, and achievement might be anything from performance to even attendance at a coaching session. Setting clear, realistic goals, we all know, is really, really important. For example, these realistic goals could be things like timekeeping. What is your personal best? You don't have to really compete with someone else. Why don't you start off with your personal best? And of course, it's all about reviewing goalposts, because goalposts keep changing. Yes? So when we look back, we actually think, well, actually, you know what? I have come far. I've not been doing that bad. And that in itself can be a very good motivator. Teamwork, I can't stress the importance of that. We all know that. But providing leadership opportunities, even the small things matter. For example, nominating somebody to make sure that everyone in the team have tied their shoelaces properly before they get onto the field so they don't trip over themselves. That itself is a leadership opportunity, and it is empowering. So I would urge you all to think about things like that, little things that matter to keep our people motivated. Next slide, please. Next one, please. That's the one. Thank you. Oh, no, the previous one. Thank you. It's great. And consistency. Consistency is the hallmark of a professional. In sport performance, it's all about consistency, as we know. And as a coach needs to be in a good mood always. A coach can't afford to have good or bad days because it affects the team. And providing challenges, like for example, you're rotating the team composition. The wicketkeeper becomes the person who's fielding the following day. These kind of new challenges, I think, keep the enthusiasm and interest varied. And of course, we know that varying practice programs always helps, because a change is as good as a holiday, really. So in terms of making practice fun, I cannot stress the importance of this enough, because it's not just about achievement. It's okay to modify the rules. It's okay to laugh, dance, sing, have fun. It all builds up a sense of camaraderie, as we know. So make practice fun. and also be organized. As a sports person, know exactly where your venue is, how long it takes for you to get to travel there. As a coach, know exactly where all the equipment is and all the facilities of the venue. So these are things I'm sure I don't have to tell you because you're all professionals here, but these are little things that go a very long way. And I wanted to bring in diversity and inclusion here. I wanted to bring it in here because it's something that is so important. We are a diverse people. So actually, when we start to actually include people of different abilities and encourage them, then sport becomes a way of life. It becomes a religion, it becomes a culture, and it becomes more open and accessible to everybody. And when that happens, there will be a real societal change. So I wanted to include diversity and inclusion here. Next slide, please. But also, apart from these, it's really important to take breaks, brain breaks as we call them. And brain breaks are all about not thinking about anything, but just doing things, being yourself, being silly, and the rest. So, why am I talking all this? Why is behavioral management important when it comes to any activity? And I'm not talking just about sport. It is important because, can we move to the next slide, please? It is important because it's crucial for ensuring that the youngsters stay in sport, that they attend the next session. It's important that everyone is aware that there is fairness, so we know exactly what the rules are, what is acceptable, what the code of conduct is, and what isn't. It's important that everyone is aware in a consistent way what the rewards are, what the sanctions are, what are the consequences of certain actions. It's also important to bring sport forward as something that is fair, that is firm, and something that's fun. So, awareness and education about sport is another thing. I'll be talking about it in a little while. Can we move on to the next slide, please? But the best thing is really that it's sometimes okay to throw the rules out of the window, as this cartoon shows you aptly. And I wanted to narrate a little story. I'm sure some of you would have come across this story on social media. It was a story that came up, this was from, I think, the General of the US Marines, and it was something that came up in Kora. And he was talking about commander training, or some very intensive training that people have to go through to actually qualify. And after a particularly long day, I think the cadets had had just about enough, but someone had done something, so the whole team was in trouble. And they all had to stand in freezing cold waters in the night. And they just had to bear it for the whole night. And even if one person quit, that meant that everyone had to just basically pack their bags and go home. So when this happened, everyone was starting to shiver. I think he noticed that there were actually a couple of people who were starting to give up. And then suddenly somebody from the back somewhere started singing. He wasn't even a very good singer. He just started to sing. He was tuneless. He was screaming, but it was singing. And then slowly, one by one, everyone joined in. And the air, I think, for miles around, everyone could hear really bad tuneless singing that lasted all night. But it took them through the night. And that is the power of teamwork, and that is the power of throwing the rules out the window, and that is the power of music as well, which brings me aptly onto my next slide. Because all the things that I've been talking to you about so far, behavioral management and how do we motivate, how do we support, that's all great if everything's going very quietly. It's all great if everything's progressing along on an even life, but that's not sport. Sport is about the extreme, severe ups and downs that one experiences, all within the span of a very short, sometimes even within split seconds. So, we should not underestimate the importance of emotions in sport and of being aware of the emotions that we are experiencing. Next slide, please. So, emotional management is key. It's important to identify exactly where we are in terms of emotion management. And you know what? it varies from sport to sport. Of course, as we know, the loud lions are always found on the football pitches and they're found on the cricket fields. And the quiet turtles are seen clapping in a sober way in Wimbledon. But you know what? A sports person is only as good as the emotions he manages. So, irrespective of whether he's in a place where there are quiet turtles or loud lions, the sports person is quiet and calm within because he's focused. Next slide, please. So, when we look at the science of it behind the emotion, the neuroscience behind the emotion, can you move on to the next slide, please? In the past, we know that emotional research was associated with right brains, left brains, dominant hemisphere, but now it's not about that at all. It's about interconnectedness. It's about the different circuits that are constantly being formed in the brain, being changed in the brain. So, we can't underestimate the role of emotions in shaping us to be who we are. In fact, functional imaging studies, which look not just at the brain, but also how the brain works, show certain interesting features, which I'll tell you about. You might think about neurotransmitters, the feel-good chemicals that are released when one plays a sport or when one is singing or listening to music. Serotonin, dopamine, you would have heard of all these. And the role of hormones, chronic stress hormones like cortisol are released sometimes within sport. But you know what brain research tells us? It tells us that irrespective of whether you're engaged in a sport, whether you're listening to music, whether it's an artwork you're appreciating, whether it's a mathematical proof you're trying to work out, the same areas in the brain light up. Isn't that fascinating? It does not matter what you're doing. It does not matter whether you're using your logical brain as it used to be before. The same areas light up. And that brings me to think, that got me thinking, when I realized that, I started to think, well, actually, if we are able to bring it together, how can we actually, what's going to come out of that? Can we actually support our brain so much better? Next slide, please. So, brings me to music, because of course I'm a musician. That was a logical step for me to start thinking about. So I started to explore music in sport and realized that 1 + 1 is not equal to 2 in this case. In this case, 1 + 1 is an exponential increase and an improvement in working on our emotions and managing them better. Because music can augment all components of the sportsman's journey, as we see in the slide, before, during, and afterwards, and also helps with maintenance. How? Any thoughts, anyone? Before we move on to the next slide, any thoughts, anyone? The first thing I'd like to talk about is, next slide please, something called diversion. So, music provides diversion. So what it does is, it supports endurance and persistence. Next slide, please. So it supports endurance and persistence, as might be in the case of marathon running. It supports efficiency and delayed fatigue. When there is rhythmic music, for example, think figure skating. When you have short bursts of really sharp music, motivating music, it really is known to support intensity exercises and muscle building workouts. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. The second mechanism with which it supports is called mental imagery. You would all be familiar with this. You encourage your students to think about success, to think about how they can be the best they can be. But how does that work when it comes to music, when you add music to the mix as well? Music can actually aid promotion of internal motivation. For example, you're practicing before an event. It really does support that. It supports one getting into the zone before an event, the relaxation zone, the calm zone, whatever you'd like to call it. Sorry, can we go back to the previous slide, please? I'm really sorry about this asynchrony between the slides and what I'm talking about. The next slide, please. Thank you. Yeah. So this is about how music and sport could get together to support synchronization of mind and body. Because the biggest problem we have is, in the next slide, it's called the mind-body problem. We're back to motivation, really, because until we pull ourselves out of that coach, nothing much will happen. But once we pull ourselves out of that couch, synchronization happens. When I say synchronization between mind and body, we're looking at, say, a faster sync in rhythm when you're listening to music, right? Sustained focus, games that require sustained focus like golf and chess, we know slow rhythms in music help. And when you talk about relaxation before an event, sedating music helps. Next slide, please. So, when I realized that there was so much information on brain, emotion, music, performance activities like sport, I started to think about a model of working which is about bringing it all together to help the brain optimize the potential it has. So, next slide, please. So, I won't go into too much details, but what stemmed out of our work really was that using a multi-dimensional or a multimodal way of approaching sport or an activity or any kind of emotional management activity can actually help support the brain so much better. Then it got me thinking about what was required. I realized that what we need is a semi-structured standardized technique which has a basis in research and something that is supportive of not just motivation but also about sustaining improvements. It is intended to be user-friendly. All you need is a pair of headphones, pop it on, it is discreet, then people are not getting really worried about it. It has the potential for maximum accessibility and reach. And CAPE was born. I'll just quickly talk about CAPE, Creative Arts for Processing Emotions, which is the therapeutic technique that I developed, which is about bringing together our knowledge of music, emotions, therapeutic techniques, and our knowledge of the brain to support emotional management. So we first launched CAPE at the High Commission of India in the United Kingdom in 2016, and because I'm a children and young people psychiatrist, I wanted to launch a youth version, so which we successfully managed to launch just last year, 2017. We went back to London to launch it at the High Commission of India. So, can we go to the next slide, please? The next one, please. The next one, please. Right, so this is just to kind of illustrate what emotions are about. Emotions are generally a cluster. Emotions you can't just get anger, you can't just get sadness, you can't just get fear. When it hits you hard, and it's usually a very strong mixture. So it's about supporting you to understand how emotions can be identified within ourselves when they come in clusters. Next slide, please. I just wanted to tell you an example of a young sports person that I saw in my clinic. And this was a professional sports person, without going into details, who was going through a bit of an emotional crisis. And as often happens with sports people, there was a lot of touring involved, which wasn't very helpful. Staying away from the family, which wasn't very helpful. A breakup of a relationship, which wasn't very helpful. It was all taking the focus away from the sport. And this young person was able to use CAPE in a discreet way with headphones on, and was able to support themselves to get out of the crisis. And now when we talk, the young person tells me that they've made it part of their lifestyle. So this is just a little case vignette to illustrate the power of music when it's added on to sport. Next slide, please. I'm just going to go back to, so next slide, please. I'm just going to go back to the balance of life that we spoke about at the outset. Next slide, please. Thank you. Oh, that's right. Thank you. So I'm just going to go back to the balance of life that we spoke about at the outset. We're coming back to motivation. So we started off with motivation, and we're coming back to motivation, but I hope we've been able to think through a bit about what actually keeps the motivation going. It does require a good, strong, sturdy mix of all the different things that you see in the balance, for there to be a balance in life and for progress to be there. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. Oh, one other thing I meant to mention, sorry, before we move on to questions. In 2015, can we move on to the next slide, please? In 2015, I set up an organization. Oh, we've come to the final slide. And this is one of my paintings, by the way. And it's just to illustrate really that we can do lots of things at the same time and hence still keep the balance going. But in 2015, I set up an organization called iManas, which is about integrating medicine, neuroscience, art, and ability as exemplified by sport within society. So that's what iManas stands for. And through the organization, we've worked to actually increase awareness across the East and the West. We do events, we do projects, and also a lot of awareness work with the media and with local communities about improving awareness through using creative arts to support emotions in various activity-based processes, especially for children and young people. Thank you very much. Hello? Yeah. So we're talking about some of the emotions that we may be experiencing within, and about how we can use music and other well-evidenced techniques that we often employ when we're doing psychological work, psychological therapies. It's about using that to support a person. So everyone is different, so they can't be, whilst they can be motivating music and Josh Bhara music that can get people, steamed up before a big event. When it comes to working through the emotion that the individual sports person is feeling, each one's different. One may be experiencing predominantly fear. The other one might be predominantly experiencing anger. Another might be experiencing a sense of kind of insecurity, or there might be lots of anxiety. So everybody is different. So with that information in mind, what we've tried to work through is actually help every individual understand what emotion they are feeling. And again, even within the same individual, once they might experience fear, another time there might be a lot of anger or something that they need to get out of their system. So even in this, emotions are never always the same. They're never static. They're always fluid, as we know. So it's more than actually applying a particular type of music before an event or during. The focus really is about using what is best suited for you at that point of time, depending on the emotion that you're experiencing inside yourself. And how can you move on from that emotion to a more stable state, which will actually empower you to motivate yourself and be the best you can on that day. That's what it's about. I hope I've answered the question.
Yeah, actually you are correct. What is the thought is music is now the music. Mm-hmm. Once it is disconnected, mm-hmm. and what is next options to think about his performance?
Okay, so the sports person's journey. So, and again, in terms of the earlier question you had about Eastern music and Western music, I mean, what we have tried to do is actually incorporate both Eastern and Western music components to make it more global and accessible, because now sport is not regional anymore. The internet is here and multimedia is here, and it's now a global phenomenon. So that is the way we need to start thinking, really. And it's all about supporting ourselves to get to a point where we don't actually need to fall back on something like that every time. But when you need to, it's there.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
We, the physical education personnel, what best can be done to bring the students to the sports or to the field?
A bit more. So that would be the first step, with specific relevance to the use of gadgets. But beyond that, it's a bigger thing. It's about, see, at the end of the day, motivation can be, motivating talks can be given, people can be encouraged to do that and this, there can be incentives that are given. But that is only the first step. If the person themselves isn't motivated to do something, it's very difficult to bring about change. So I'd say perhaps education would be the very first step. Educating them to the positive benefits as well as the difficulties that one might encounter with a sedentary lifestyle. That would need to be the very first thing, which I'm sure happens as part of the curriculum and otherwise as well. So, but the media can be used in a very powerful way that way as well. So, movies that are actually focused on that, those kind of themes we've been seeing a few of now more recently. I don't know if that's, movies like that have made a change in any big way. But those are the kind of, so one can actually use technology to their advantage. There are apps which are about supporting that. In fact, even within CAPE, that is what we were endeavoring to do, to actually bring them to a point where they're in a position to motivate themselves. So unless that first thing happens, it's very, very difficult. But earlier on we spoke about in my talk, I probably skimmed over it because also I'm sure that a lot of you are trying some of the things we have been talking about. But if we can actually bring people out onto the field and make it kind of fair, consistent and fun, then there is more of a likelihood that they will come back for a second session and a third session and so on and so forth. To think about sustaining, because think about this again, when one is talking about the extrinsic factors that I was talking to you about, the trophies, the medals and the awards, that gives you a high, right? But that is a high. When one has a high in life, there's always bound to be a low. So high and then low, and then motivating yourself to get up on that mountain again is very difficult. So when that is the case, that is the reason, I mean, this was the reason behind my work and my research and my thinking about how can we build more emotionally stable young people who are more able to actually come back again and again and again and don't get so pulled into the highs and lows of any activity, and that particularly applies to sport. So I'll give you an example. We know, we've been talking a lot, when we talk about emotions, we think about negative emotions. We never think about positive emotions. But you know what? Positive emotional management, as Mr. Ishan will tell you, having been a professional sports person, managing that is a very, very difficult task as well. The highs, the achievements, all the compliments, the flattery, everything, the exhilaration that comes with winning in a sport. Now, managing that is equally important to, equally difficult. It's not just about managing fears or anxieties. So if we can actually incorporate into our curriculum ways of making our young people more emotionally stable, then I think we will be building a stronger society, stronger cohort of young people who would actually be motivated to not only take up sport, but also to stay in it.
Thank you.
Thank you. This time of the afternoon slump, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience coming to the university and seeing the amount of importance that is given to sport and fitness. And I feel pretty motivated myself, in fact, to get the same thing going in my own children. So thank you very much.
ವಿದೇಶದಿಂದ ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತಮವಾದ ಸೈಕಲಾಜಿಕಲ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಂದೇಶವನ್ನು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್ನಿಂದ ಹೇಗೆ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯನ್ನು ತಿಳಿಸಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ವಿಭಾಗದ ಪರವಾಗಿ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಮೇಡಮ್. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಬೆಳಗಿನ ಫೆಲಿಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತಮವಾದ ಒಂದು ಹಾಡನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಆಡಿದರು. ಹಾಗೆ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಾಗಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ 2 ದಿನಗಳ ಕಾರ್ಯಾಗಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಓಪನಿಂಗ್ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ದೋಣಿ ಸಾಗಲಿ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗಲಿ ಅಂತ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾರ್ಯಾಗಾರ ಯಾವತ್ತಿಗೂ ನಿಲ್ಲದಿರಲಿ, ಮುಂದೆ ಸಾಗ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿ, ಹೀಗೆ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಆಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹಾಡಿನೊಂದಿಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನ ಕೂಡ ಮುಕ್ತವಾಗಿ ಸಾಗಲಿ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ವಿಭಾಗದ ಪರವಾಗಿ, ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯ ಪರವಾಗಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ವಿಭಾಗದ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಕೂಡ ನಾನು ವಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಆಶಿಸ್ತೇನೆ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಹಾಗೆ ಇಂದ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಉತ್ತಮವಾದ ಕಾರ್ಯಾಗಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಸೆಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮೋಟಿವೇಶನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯದ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ವಿಭಾಗದ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ನೆನಪಿನ ಕಾಣಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಜೆರಾಲ್ಡ್ ಸಂತೋಷ್ ಡಿಸೋಜಾ, ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಚೇರ್ಮನ್ ಅವರು ನೀಡಬೇಕೆಂದು ಕೇಳಿಕೊಳ್ತಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಸರ್. ಅದು ಒಂದು ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ಪ್ರತಿಮೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಮೇಡಮ್.